and Connectivity Project. That and a whole lot more coming up for you on Africa in Business. Do make sure that you interact with us on our various social media platforms on X, Instagram and YouTube. You'll find us at Channel Africa 1. On Facebook, we are at Channel Africa.
African enterprise meets global opportunity. Africa in Business on Channel Africa. Connecting Africa to the world. Africa in Business with Thami Ngubeni brings you the latest insights on Africa's economy.
The senior legal counsels who are representing some local as well as international banks accused of colluding to manipulate the South African rand says the South African Competition Commission has failed to make a solid case regarding their participation in collusive behavior. Now, they argue that the alleged overarching conspiracy to manipulate the rand-dollar exchange rate must demonstrate that they had prior knowledge of the plan and expressed intent to participate. The Competition Commission is making an appeal to the Constitutional Court to overturn a previous judgment that excluded foreign banks from the rand rigging case. Economics reporter Naledi Ngobo filed this report.
Around 17 foreign banks implicated in the rand rigging case have maintained that the Competition Commission has failed to show that there is a case for personal jurisdiction or adequate connecting factors between foreign banks and local banks to justify collusion. Senior counsel Paul Farlam, representing the Bank of America in the case, has argued that foreign banks shouldn't be implicated in rand rigging for merely being members of the instant Bloomberg chat room where traders allegedly conspired to participate in misconduct.
The argument is because we were in the old kids chat room, therefore we knew or could reasonably regard it as knowing that there was a worldwide SOC involving South African traders. And so we submitted that if the old kids chat room has good and bad, malign and benign purposes, and it's involved in they're trading a number of different currencies, you can't really then conclude that because you joined the old kids chat room, you automatically had a malign intent.
Nedbank's legal representative, senior counsel Anthony Gordz, stressed that the bank is merely implicated to a Reuters trading platform that is noted as sharing similarities with the Bloomberg chat room in question. Gordz emphasized that the quotes posted by Nedbank on the Reuters public platform were much too sporadic to constitute collusive behavior.
So what we see is that the case against Nedbank is based on sporadic allegations of cryptic market conduct that the Commission has effectively thumbs-upped from a set of trading data. The Commission does not put Nedbank in any of the chat rooms. The Commission does not allege that there was any contact, communication, understanding, agreement, consultation, sharing of information between Nedbank and any of the other respondents.
Australian New Zealand Bank Group ANZ claims that the traders implicated in collusive behavior were not employed by the bank at the time of the alleged misconduct. Senior counsel Chris Loxon elaborates.
Banks is said to be employed from 2013 onwards. TESOL until 2012. Now, the problem that they have with CATS is that the last identified chat in which CATS is involved is October 2012 before he gets employed by ANZ.
The Competition Commission argues that the Competition Act allows local authorities to act against anyone whose conduct impacts the South African economy, regardless of jurisdiction. Magale Muhlala is the head of cartel at the Competition Commission.
We made it very clear that other jurisdictions, the Americans have prosecuted traders for manipulating the dollar. The British have done the same for manipulating the pound, so as the Europeans for the euro, and lately the Australian for the Australian dollar. So the South African rand, no one has prosecuted anybody for the manipulation of the South African rand, and the South African Competition Commission and Tribunal are the only authority vested with responsibility of prosecuting such kind of conduct.
The currency manipulation case will enter its third day of proceedings from 10 a.m. on Thursday at the Constitutional Court. I'm Naledi Ngcobo in Johannesburg.
The KwaZulu-Natal Convention Bureau, in collaboration with Millvest Advisory and the city of Umhlathuze, bring you the 2025 Tourism Investment Forum Africa. As a global platform for local action, the Tourism Investment Africa aims to promote the secondary and tertiary cities and regions as attractive investment and tourism hubs. Be part of the movement transforming tourism in Africa. Join us for the TIFA 2025 from August 27 to 29 at Tembela Venue, Richards Bay, KZN, South Africa. Get Channel Africa on DSTV Audio Bouquet. Channel 802.
It is exactly 13 minutes after 4 p.m. Central African time. Do remember to engage with us on the various social media platforms. You'll find us on X, Facebook, Instagram, as well as YouTube. And quite interestingly, in our G20 feature this afternoon, we're going to be talking about the voice of civil society and how the general public's interests can be upheld as the world's powers deliberate and plan on issues such as climate change, debt reduction. And I wonder, from your standpoint, as a member of the civil society, what do you believe the interests of civil society are that need to be ring-fenced? I'm thinking now about the communities of the world, the societies of the world. And you'll remember earlier on this week, we were talking around Total Energies and the protests that are going on around their expansion and them not lifting up the communities that they are engaged in. These are the allegations that have been made against them. But from your standpoint, what do you believe is top of mind that should be ring-fenced as far as civil society is concerned? On X, Instagram, and YouTube, you'll find us at Channel Africa 1. On Facebook, we are at Channel Africa. As the voice of civil society, as the G20 is in preparation, the main summit happening in November, what do you believe needs to be highlighted? If you were part of the C20 and you are part of that civil voice representing society, what would you say if you had the mic?
We are on Open Views Audio Bouquet. Channel 628. G20 in Africa, exclusive to Channel Africa and SAFM, championing Africa through solidarity, equality, and sustainability.
It is that time of the week where we focus on the G20. We are building up to the G20 summit, which will be held in November. And today, the focus is on civil society's participation in shaping the discussion amongst the group of 20 countries. Now, civil society, or C20, Civil Society 20, was formally established as an official G20 engagement group in the year 2013. And this was during the Russian presidency of the group. It aims to achieve positive results for society under the principle of leave no one behind. It also ensures greater balance in the dialogue with the G20. Now, joining us this afternoon to find out more about the C20 and the work that civil society has to do as far as ensuring that those who are involved in cooperative farming and early childhood care and education demonstrate that solutions already exist within those very communities. That's one of the areas that was stressed by the Civil 20 working group. Joining us this afternoon is the C20 South Africa Sherpa, Mabalane Mfundisi. A very good afternoon to you. Welcome to Africa in Business. Good to have you with us.
It gives us pleasure to be with you, Thami, and we're happy to engage with your listeners.
So, first of all, if you could talk to us about the purpose of the Civil Society 20 and how your engagement within the G20 is structured and who actually makes up the voice of the civil society group.
As you have already articulated in the introduction, C20 was given a lease of life to exist in the 2013 G20 processes in Russia. This afternoon, we actually joined our Russian counterparts in an engagement they had with various voices from civil society from across the African continent. And our role is to ensure that we bring in the collective voices of civil society, broad and diverse as we are, to put to the table of government leaders a set of proposals that they need to look at in their quest to make this a better world for every human being that lives in them. But we are not the only ones that wants to get the voice of the leaders of or heads of governments and heads of states. The private sector is also another entity organized through the B20 platform. So all of us are coming to the table. We also have the L20, which is the Labor 20. So if we use these four pillars, government, the private sector, labor, and communities through civil society, we all have to put our best foot forward and ensure that the proposals that we are making finds their way in the pronouncements that the heads of governments and heads of state make or arrive at when they process the issues that would have been engaged over a year-long process of negotiation. Who makes this up for us as civil society? At the moment, we have over 2,400 civil society organizations that have registered to be part of the C20. They are mainly from the G20 countries, which is 19 countries. You know, we now have the African Union and the European Union. So it is bringing all those voices under one roof and ensuring that through the working groups that we have, and this is how we organize. We organize into 14 working groups.
And perhaps,
a large number
my
of them,
apologies, Mr. Mfundisi, before we get into the exact structure of it as well as some of the work that was tabled yesterday, we are also joined by Ashraf Garda from the National Pulse as we do the simulcast every single Thursday afternoon. And our focus today really is, as we've highlighted, the voice of civil society within the G20 as we make our way towards that big summit taking place in November. And I must say, Ashraf, what an important voice this is representing civil society.
And there's no question about it. You know, if we say it's all about the people, then the people don't have to be in parliament to be the people that has the real clout. The question is, how does it translate into something meaningful? So therefore, yeah, to amplify what you're saying, civil society, number one.
And yesterday, Mr. Mfundisi, you tabled a draft policy that was shaped by 14 civil society groups. How were those groups selected, those who became part of drafting this document, and what were perhaps some of the key priority areas or issues raised in the draft policy?
So let me start first.
Please go ahead, sir.
Let me start first with who we are, this C20. In South Africa, the C20 is led through apex bodies of civil society voices. The network, in network, we have the community constituency that brings a wide range of stakeholders in civil society, youth formations, civic formations, women's formations, you name them. We also have the SANAC Civil Society Forum, which is made up of 19 sectors of civil society. But we also have issue-based organizations that operate in civil society. So we brought them all together under the leadership of Network Community Constituency. The overall convener there, Mr. Thulani Chefuta, is the chairperson of the C20. I act as the Sherpa from the SANAC Civil Society component. But we have a leadership that's made up of 3 deputy chairpersons that deputizes Mr. Chefuta. They come from other organizations that we have. I am the Sherpa, and I have 2 sous-Sherpas that also come from there. Part of our leadership includes people that represent issues that relate to persons with disabilities. One of the deputy chairpersons come from there, Dr. Zuki Sonzo. And from the sous-Sherpas, we have a person that has been selected from organizations that represent issues that affect LGBTQI communities. So we have tried to ensure that we leave no one behind. But that is a team that drives this process in South Africa and provides a global voice for others, because it's not just a South African process, it's a global civil society process. To that end, we have an international advisory committee where the chairperson and the Sherpa participate in that, but we are joined by other leaders of civil society from previous host countries of the C20. We also have these 14 working groups that are made up of 3 representatives, a leader from an organization operating only in South Africa, another one coming from organizations that operate in the rest of Africa, and then from a global perspective as well. So we have made sure that it is Pan-African, it is global, it is still also South African in nature. We organize the 14 working groups also to mirror the issues that are the priorities of South Africa. This is to ensure that the policy proposals that we make, they find their way in terms of what the G20 would want to do. Part of the platform that has also been created for us is that through our working groups as the C20, we also participate in the working groups of the G20. Now that's where the governments come together. They are working on policy positions, policy proposals that should be taken into the global forums that are there to influence the world that we want to basically see. So ours is to ensure that through the policy briefs from each of the working groups, through the policy proposals that we make, we actually influence things to be in the manner that civil society would like to see them being implemented by government. It's not easy to ensure that all of those voices come together. But behind the scenes, we are making great strides to ensure that we consolidate and coagulate what these particular positions are from Africa, South Africa, and from the global south and global north, to ensure that the heads of state, they really indeed have something that will influence how they will do it. And that influence is not at the G20 meeting in November. It is the work that we are doing currently. In September, we'll be going to the UN General Assembly as part of the engagements with governments as well. What we want to see is that the pronouncements they make should include what we have articulated and advocated. And when we have done that, we can pat ourselves in the back that at least what President Ramaphosa says, at least what President Lula says, at least what President Trump, hopefully he will be there, is saying, reflects what we would want to see as this particular better world. So we have consolidated these 14 working groups into 6 clusters. There's a cluster that deals with issues of finance, a cluster that deals with issues relating to global governance, a cluster that deals with issues around food and poverty, a cluster that deals with issues that we have called transformative imperatives, a cluster that deals with human capital development, and lastly, the cluster that deals with just transitions and innovations. So all of those packaged and covered in what we will ultimately provide through our declaration, which will be the sum total of the policy pack that is made up of these 14 working groups that we have.
Now,
and those working groups who are taking...
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at it here in terms of, the key themes of the G20: solidarity, equality, sustainability. I mean, you have a key position in terms of being the Sherpa for civil society, right? So how do you link that, your C20 draft, your civil society draft, that would then support those ideals that I've just mentioned?
Yes, and that's why we have worked out these particular clusters. So in terms of issues relating to equality, they are linked to our cluster that deals with finance and global governance. In terms of issues relating to solidarity, it's the issues that are linked to our food and poverty and the transformative imperatives. And the last one deals with human capital and just energy transition. So all those proposals that we are making are linked to those particular themes, so that the things that we agree on, we want to ululate about them. It doesn't make us captured by government. No, what is it that we want? We want governments to say and do the things that affect communities and make community lives better. And the things that we don't agree, we will step on the highest mountains and call out governments that don't actually do those, including our South African government as the host country. But our civil society stakeholders all over the world are also part and parcel of that particular journey. We would want to see this as a better world, and we need to be there. We need to be present. We need to say the things that need to be said, and we need to say the things that others would not want us to say.
Mabalane Mfundisi, South Africa Sherpa for the Civil 20. Thank you so much for your time and a really comprehensive look at what the C20 is about. Thank you so much for joining us this afternoon on our G20 feature.
Our pleasure.
Thank you so much. I must say, Ashraf,
between then Channel Africa on the other, connected like civil society is. The banner of G20, or in this case C20, which is civil society, and I think we must not underestimate the build-up to G20 and the type of extractions that we can garner for South Africa and for the African continent. Right, we're going to.
Thank you so much. That's Ashraf Gard and myself, Thami Ngubeni. They're doing our weekly simulcast focusing on the G20 today, looking specifically at the role of civil society and who makes up the civil society. NGOs, its advocacy groups, its faith-based organizations and communities as well. It is exactly 4:30 Central African time. Let's take a look now at what is coming up next. Well, we usually have our market indicators. Those coming up in just a moment with Matapelo Mahape.
G20 in Africa, exclusive to Channel Africa, championing Africa through solidarity, equality, and sustainability. The KwaZulu-Natal Convention Bureau, in collaboration with Millvest Advisory and the city of Umhlathuze, bring you the 2025 Tourism Investment Forum Africa. As a global platform for local action, the Tourism Investment Africa aims to promote the secondary and tertiary cities regions as attractive investment and tourism hubs. Be part of the movement transforming tourism in Africa. Join us for the TIFA 2025 from August 27 to 29 at Tembela Venue, Richards Bay, KZN, South Africa. Business News on Channel Africa. The African Perspective.
Thank you, Thami, and good afternoon. A look at your markets. $1 US is trading at 17 rand 68 cents in South Africa. In Botswana, it's trading at 13 pula 39. In Namibia, it's trading at 17 in Namibian dollars 68. The Zambian kwacha is trading at 23 kwacha 29 to the US dollar. In Kenya, the dollar is trading at 128 shilling 32. In Ethiopia, it's trading at 140 birr 58. In Uganda, it is trading at 3,000 shilling 544. While in Tanzania, it is trading at 2,000 shilling 503. $1 in Nigeria is trading at 1,000 naira 534. In Egypt, the dollar is trading at 48 Egyptian pound 52. In Tunisia, it is trading at 2 dinar 88. In Algeria, it is trading at 129 dinar 19, while in Morocco, the dollar is trading at 8 dirham 99. In Angola, the dollar is trading at 912 kwanza, while the Congolese franc is trading at 2,866 the US dollar. A look at your commodities. Gold is trading at $3,345 and platinum at $1,336 per ounce, while the price of Brent crude oil is at $66.94 a barrel. For any business stories you'd like to share with us, please send an email to newsroom@channelafrica.co.za or call us on +2711 714 4459. For Channel Africa Business News, I am Matabela Mahape.
Business News on Channel Africa. The African Perspective.
And for the business of sport, here is Matapelo Mahape.
Sports on Channel Africa. The African Perspective.
And a very good afternoon from the sports desk. I am Musibu Dimakura with the latest sports news at the Sawa. So we'll start here. Arsenal have agreed $87.5 million deal to sign Eberechi Eze. That's after hijacking Tottenham Hotspur's move for the Crystal Palace forward. So the Gunners will pay a guaranteed $80 million plus $11.5 million in add-ons for the forward, with personal terms now closed to being totally agreed upon. The 27-year-old release clause worth about $80 million plus $13.5 million in add-ons expired before the Premier League season started. So essentially, there's a big likelihood that Eze will be making his way to Arsenal after Tottenham Hotspur, many might say, dropped the ball on that signing. Meanwhile, Brentford United have turned down Newcastle's improved bid of $53 million for striker Yaune Visa. Now, the Magpies were proposing a $55 million initial fee and a further $8.5 million in add-ons. Now, Newcastle reopened talks with Brentford on Wednesday, but sources told BBC Sport that the latest bid fell below the B's valuation of Visa. It is also understood that Visa had also talks with a Brentford owner, that is Michael Benham, on Tuesday, who had talks with him regarding the developments of him moving to Newcastle, and of course the discussions with the Magpies. The Magpies, meanwhile's previous bid of $28 million was worth more than $50 million. It was initially offered to Brentford for one of their star players from last season. Onto this now. Leeds United, meanwhile, have signed AS Milan striker, that is Noah Okafor, for about $28 million to take the spending by Premier League clubs this season for the transfer window to a record $3.1 billion. Now, the Switzerland striker has joined the Premier League club for a 4-year deal. The 25-year-old also becomes Leeds United's 9th signing during the transfer window since winning the championship to secure their return to top flight status this season. So the player's arrival also means the Premier League clubs have now spent more than the previous record in a single transfer window. That's about $2.36 billion that was spent back in 2023. The Swiss also played for Basel as well as RB Salzburg before joining Milan on a 5-year deal back in 2023. And finally, in case you missed it, Italian doubles specialists, that is Sara Virani as well as Andreas Vavasori, completed their mission by beating single stars Iga Swiatek as well as Casper Ruud to win the controversially revamped US Open mixed event. Now, Irani as well as Vavasori, whose place in the new look tournament was initially under threat, defended their crown in a thrilling 6-3, 5-7, 10-6 victory and secured that victory at midnight midnight this morning. So the pair also walked away with an increased prize pot of $1 million that is designed to attract superstars like Iga Swiatek, Carlos Alcaraz, as well as Novak Djokovic, which is also 5 times more than the $200,000 that was won last year by the same pair in Irani as well as Vavasasori. Well, that concludes your sports news this hour. For any sports stories you'd like to share with us, simply send us an email to newsroom@channelafrica.co.za. Alternatively, give us a call. The newsroom line is +27 11714 4459. For Channel Africa Sport, I am Mosibudi Makura.
Sports on Channel Africa. The African Perspective. The KwaZulu-Natal Convention Bureau, in collaboration with Milvest Advisory and the city of Mhlathuze, brings you the 2025 Tourism Investment Forum, Africa. By positioning these regions for sustainable growth, TIFA helps drive their economic ambitions while providing access to critical capital, networks, and strategic insights on investments in the trade services sector, such as tourism. Join us for the TIFA 2025 from August 27 to 29 at Tembela Venue, Richards Bay, KZN, South Africa. Be part of the movement transforming tourism and infrastructure in Africa. Africa means business. Tune into Africa in Business with Thami Ngubeni for the future of the African economy. Channel Africa, the African Perspective.
It is exactly 4:38 Central African Time. In our C-suite this afternoon, we host Dr. Mabitshe Rampedi, a South African doctor, entrepreneur, and the founder and CEO of the Phelang Bonolo Healthcare, the PBH Group. Dr. Rampedi completed his MBCHB at the University of KwaZulu-Natal in 1990. He then opened his private practice in the township of Soshanguve in Pretoria, which led to the founding of Phelang Bonolo Healthcare Group 16 years later. Some have described the good doctor's life story as one of black excellence, of service and generational impact. He joins us now on the line. A very good afternoon to you, Doctor. What a huge accolade to be living up to, generational impact, but certainly with the work that you've done in communities, I'm sure it is very much well-deserved. Welcome. Good to have you with us.
Good afternoon. Thanks to have me.
So, Doctor, what is it that inspired your career path in medicine? Did you always know that medicine is where you wanted to be?
Honestly, not really. I didn't know, but what I knew was that I had a passion to make a difference in people's lives. And I happened to get influenced to become a teacher purely because everybody in my family was a teacher, but then that time, the University of Natal did accept students who were coming from University of the North, Forte, and Zululand, University of Zululand. And so the initial intention was really to do science teaching and mathematics, which I studied in the University of Forte. And my friends wanted to do medicine, but in retrospect, I think that's where God had decided I must be, because I serve it with passion and dedication.
What's quite interesting and pivotal about your life's path and the time and the era when you started your career, it was in the early 1990s, and as South Africa, it was literally the dawn of our democracy. What would you highlight as some of the challenges that you faced at the start of your career in the backdrop of a country that was still, racially segregated, but on the brink of a new future?
Yeah, look, coming from that era, the operation was really that era. We only knew of hardship, and one just wanted to make a difference, despite the fact that the country was in a different direction. But reality on the ground was the fact that the services are scarce, and our people and our communities needed these services, and one wanted to to make a difference.
You opened up your practice in the township of Soshanguve in Pretoria. What was that experience like for you? And what did that period in your life really bring to the forefront for you about the communities that you were serving?
Yeah, look, in the first place, I knew that the communities do lack these services. And that was really more to experience firsthand and to make the difference, because by the time you go and want to establish the practice, you have had an experience of being in packed public hospitals and all that, and most of those conditions and everything should have been treated already at their doorstep. So that's really what one was trying to do. Besides the fact that the country was going to a different direction, but the reality on the ground was still, we had to do something for ourselves. So the choice was really wanting to impact our communities.
And what is it that led you to establish Philang Bonolo Healthcare Group in 2006? And tell us more about this group.
Look, I would say the day-to-day experience and the inconvenience of our people can get access and quality, which was a bit far, which they needed to travel and everything. And that was, in practice, you're getting it every day, because these people, you can only do to a certain extent. And you can't complete the loop. Now, to complete the loop and to make sure you have service to a point of satisfaction and they needed care that they required, and it was a bit far. And traditionally and historically, these things were in urban areas and all that. And it didn't really make sense, because there are people who can afford, in the form of the insurance, the medical aid funds, and some are working these industries and everything else. And the question is, but why wouldn't we bring these services closer to them? Because that alone has got a huge impact. Besides the patient, the relatives, the everybody else, for emotional support and all, it's so much convenient, because it's just a walking distance instead of spending the money to up and down.
And it looks like, every few years you not reinvent yourself, but you always add another feather to your cap. Because in 2014, you launched your first hospital, Butchilo Private Hospital, also in Soshanguve in Pretoria. What are some of the biggest challenges that you faced in branching into private healthcare, and how do you compete with, quote unquote, the big boys? Because especially in the area of healthcare and hospitals, either it's a government hospital, but not that many, private hospitals that are also Black run and Black owned.
Yes. Yeah, no, I like the period that you're talking about, I would say we'll call it research and development. Once one has identified the need and the demand, one had to go and see how can we go about it. And of importance was that to have a team of people that can buy into the division that you put on the table, and be able to galvanize the different expertise. And once you got that, then say, listen, now let's tackle this thing. Obviously, the competition was part of the studies to say how are we going to compete. And at the end of the day, within even the practice itself, my philosophy is just do the best that you can at any point in time within what you can, and you will be rewarded by the people who sort of appreciate and see that you're going an extra mile for them. So really, at the end of the day, you would want to follow the best service and the quality that you can get. So that's really the whole thing.
And you launched another facility in the Northwest Province. Tell us more about the PBH, Heart to Beer Sport facility, and I guess also what it is that makes your healthcare facilities different to other private healthcare providers in the country. You mentioned there that you go the extra mile, but what do you believe are the key differentiators in your offering?
Yeah, look, from the onset, forming the group, it's because we more collaborative and we more community orientated, community centric, and we also encourage healthcare professional participation, and so it's based on the people who will be working there, the people who will have the best interest of the community around. So always we are community centric. We are healthcare professionals in the area centric, and again I'll emphasize the fact that we would like never to compromise on the quality of the service, but we do take the community into consideration in whatever that we do. And and obviously because now we then formed, the group is formed and everything else, and we would like to have a national footprint. It is not easy. It doesn't happen overnight. So over time, I think we'll be able to achieve that. And as long as whoever else who follows in the footsteps will understand the founding principles and would want to extend. And what makes us sleep better is the satisfaction of the communities that we serve.
Doctor, as we wrap up this afternoon, you wear two hats in many ways. One, yes, you are a medical professional, a scientist, a healer, and on the other hand, you are a business person, an entrepreneur. How do you balance the two, and what are the skills that you had to acquire along the way? And perhaps as you answer that question, maybe a couple of tips as well for those who are aspiring to be entrepreneurs or professionals within the health sector.
Yeah, look, I think most important thing is that you need to have the passion of what you do. That's the first thing. I don't get to be reminded to do what I do, and is to make sure you do the best that you can, but acknowledge your shortcomings. So I want to be an expert in medicine because that's what I'm trained for and that's my passion. But I know I need somebody who's an expert in administration, for example, as an example. I'm not going to play a human resource director, or I stick to what I know best, and what I know best is medicine. And the other expertise put together, then they form this formidable force that you need to create.
Dr. Mabije Rampedi, an honor speaking to you this afternoon, sir, and indeed serving our communities in a way that makes a difference in their lives. We thank you for your time this afternoon.
Thank you, man. Thanks.
Thank you. That was Dr. Mabije Rampedi, a South African doctor, entrepreneur, and the founder and CEO of the Phelang Bonolo Healthcare Group, the PBH Group. It is exactly 10 minutes to 5 p.m.
The KwaZulu-Natal Convention Bureau, in collaboration with Milvest Advisory and the city of Mhlathuze, brings you the 2025 Tourism Investment Forum, Africa. By positioning these regions for sustainable growth, TIFA helps drive their economic ambitions while providing access to critical capital, networks, and strategic insights on investments in the trade services sector, such as tourism. Join us for the TIFA 2025 from August 27 to 29 at Tembela Venue, Richards Bay, KZN, South Africa. Be part of the movement transforming tourism and infrastructure in Africa.
She builds, she leads, she rises. This August, join Channel Africa in celebrating the women who shape our communities, shift narratives, and carve out a future on their own terms.
These women together ought to be able to turn it right again.
From Cape Town to Kigali, Lagos to Lusaka, African women are rewriting the script. Here's to courage, creativity, and unstoppable progress. Channel Africa, the African perspective.
Africa in Business on Channel Africa.
It is exactly 4:51 Central African Time as we turn our focus now to Malawi, where the Malawi Bureau of Standards is set to launch a digital platform that will streamline import and export formalities while also enhancing quality assurance and improving compliance enforcement. The digitization of the MBS will see the cost and time of products and manufacturers as well as traders reduced significantly. A platform which forms part of the Southern Africa Trade and Connectivity Project, funded by the World Bank, is aimed at increasing private sector activity along targeted corridors of Malawi and Mozambique. To find out more about the platform, we joined on the line by Sarah Msosa, Systems Development Officer at Malawi Bureau of Standards. A very good afternoon to you. Good to have you with us on Africa in Business.
Good afternoon. Thank you for having me.
Perhaps if you could help us understand, Sarah, what is the current stage of the digital platform? Are the pilot tests complete, the infrastructure fully in place?
We are now in final stages for this digital platform. We expect to go live this year in October. And currently we are doing some pilot tests and we are yet to complete. And for the infrastructure, this platform is fully funded by World Bank, and the infrastructure is already fully in place because this digital platform is going to be hosted at one of Malawi government data centers.
And to date, how many businesses have been onboarded? And what kind of training were they given to ensure efficient use of the system? I do understand, as you say, that you are still in your pilot stage.
Yes, we have quite a number of businesses. I think over 20 businesses have been onboarded on this platform. And we've also had quite a number of change management activities to create awareness to our customers about this new platform that is coming so that we can create more awareness to them and they should get prepared about the business transactions that we do have with them.
It's quite a huge step as far as the MBD is concerned, as well as its operationalization. How would and how is the digitization of the MBD expected to impact Malawi's international trade?
This digitalization is going to impact Malawi's international trade positively because this project is covering a lot of business processes that we have here at Malawi Bureau of Standards. And through the coming of this platform is going to be efficient enough. It's going to be cost efficient, and also it's going to be timely because it's going to remove some of the delays that happens in the current setup. Currently, we have quite a number of manual processes that happens, but now with this platform, everything has been digitized through the coming of this system. So I believe that the digitalization of this platform is going to impact positively Malawi's international trade because it's going to eliminate all the delays that were there in terms of request for certain services from our customers. Let's say maybe someone wants to request for product certification, would like to request for some certification marks. All these are going to be done online. Hence, it will positively impact Malawi's international trade.
And I'm sure some of those, systems would be maybe the tracking as well of the laboratory samples. So I'm sure it is going to make a marked difference. But the management information system is part of the Southern Africa Trade and Connectivity Project. How does this particular initiative fit into regional trade frameworks like the African Continental Free Trade Area? Yes.
This impacts into the regional trade frameworks, as you've mentioned. For example, the onboarding of our businesses. All this is going to be done online. So this platform is covering up to 9 businesses processes that happens here at Malawi Bureau of Standards. So all these have been digitalized in this system. And also we have another module which is management systems certification, and all this is going to be embedded in this platform. Hence, for our customers or our clients out there, they are going to find all these services within the platform, so there won't be any need to manually visit our offices, or in case they want to request for calibration service and or maybe some testing services, they're going to track all these activities within the system. Hence,
it really sounds like a really user-friendly system. We'll be keeping abreast of the developments, and all the best as you build up to October for the launch, Ms. Sarah Msosa. We thank you so much for your time this afternoon.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am. That's Sarah Msosa, Systems Development Officer at Malawi Bureau of Standards. Well, that's how we come to the end of Africa in Business for today. But as we throw forward to Vous d'Afrique avec Joël. Bonjour, bonjour.
Bonjour, Thami. Bonjour à tous les auditeurs de Channel Africa. Alors, restez connectés parce que tout à l'heure, on parlera des délégations du gouvernement congolais et du M23 qui sont ce jeudi à Doha pour des négociations directes. Et nous parlerons aussi de la Guinée où l'Agence nationale de gestion des catastrophes et urgences humanitaires fait état d'au moins 9 morts après un accident, et aussi de la CPI qui accuse les États-Unis de porter atteinte à son indépendance. C'est tout à l'heure sur Vue d'Afrique, Thami. Merci.
Merci, Joël. And that's how we as African Business bring it to a fold this Thursday afternoon. Thank you to our producer, Mabo Buloka, our technical producer, Wandile Mate, and on social media talent, Butelezi. News desk, Onel Nzinzi, economics desk, Matapelo Mahape, and the sporting desk, Musibudi Makura. I'm Thami Ngubeni. This has been your Thursday edition of Africa in Business on Channel Africa. It's exactly 1 minute to 5 p.m.
Vue d'Afrique, un magazine des actualités en français sur Channel Africa. Rendez-vous du lundi au vendredi avec Joël Mouteba sur Channel Africa.